What's going on? Stubbed my toe. Uh, yeah, earlier, man, I was gonna make this video, then I forgot, then I just remembered. It's like one of the reasons, man. Really, I like kung fu movies, man. Not for probably the reasons you think, because of all the cool movements and the manly displays of talents and abilities. But no, if you really watch these Chinese kung fu movies, there's always some kind of political undertone, like heavy political undertones, dude, and lessons. It's just like the video I made, Lessons, Peace Treaties. How that, all the Indian tribes all signed some peace treaty. And look at the piece. Look at the piece of the stick that they got. The short end. You know what I'm saying? The piece of the stick that had the shit on it. That's the end that they got. And so, it's the same thing with these foreign powers now. You think you're going to make a peace treaty with people that have no morality and they're going to uphold their end of the bargain? 7 year peace treaty. Anyway, it's just like the gospel of Jesus Christ. A lot of people act like Jesus was killed for religious reasons. It wasn't. It was political reasons. I mean, Jesus himself, he wasn't even against the political system. What'd they say when they said, "What do you say about Caesar?" And then he says, "Pull that fish out of the water." And they pull a fish out and he cuts it open and it's got a coin on it. And he's like, "Whose inscription's on the coin?" "Caesar's." He says, "Give unto Caesar which is Caesar's. Give unto God which is God's." You know what I'm saying? So you got to take these things into considerations. Jesus was, though it was a religious, spiritual message he brought, a reconciliation, he really was martyred for a political reason. You know what I'm saying? Because when politics and religious structures intertwine, there is always heartache and suffering. That's like, I love that guy, William Cooper. It's like, I heard someone say, I'm not going to mention who, but they were like, he's just a drunk. It's like, who cares? The dude was telling you the dang truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm so sick of people attributing, and especially through this false biblical prohibition that's not biblical. It was a government taxation ploy. You know what I'm saying? A political ploy. Again, politics. Politics are an ugly, nasty. They're all based on bullshit. It's based on total bullshit. It's fiat. It's fiat authority. Fiat. Legalese terminology that is just legalese. It's political fiction. It's legal fiction. But yet, for some reason, it's kind of like people who believe in the King Arthur's Knight's Tale as truth, when it's like, dude, the dude wrote it in prison from his creative mind. You know what I'm saying? I mean, though it's based on historical figures, but it's just like the book Hiawatha, man. I can't use that as a historical text because it's wrote in such a manner where it's kind of real things mixed with fantasy. Just like everyone wants to say Hiawatha was he was a Mohican, but in the book you read it, it says in the land of the Chippewas. He went to the land of the Dakotas to get a wife. The arrow maker from the land of the Dakotas. He's talking about the Dakotas and the Chippewas and Lake Superior, Lake Huron. So whether Hiawatha was a folk hero that is in multi-ethnic groups, because the Lakotas, the Iroquois, the Ojibwa, they fought each other. So you know what I'm saying? You can't say that they were a consolidated body of people because it's not. So how come this guy, you know what I'm saying, is over here and over here? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, it's same thing with King Arthur. Real guy, but it's all legend. It's just like you read the Viking tales. It's all legends and they're all grandized, just the same way the Indians did with a lot of their tales that You got white people telling the Indian tales, and they're even grandizing it more than it was from the original Indians who told the tales. But anyway, back to Chinese kung fu movies and political undertones. I mean, so many political undertones. Here's one of the things that pisses me off. There's a movie, man. I had to watch the little clip, man, and it was in Chinese language, so I didn't understand what they were saying. Finally, they put the movie on YouTube. It's called Pride's Deadly Fury, and it shows the dude uses the disappear ninja tactic and the touch of death. This is the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I've been studying all the time. I didn't know it. That's exactly what it was, though. There was hints. There's hints in the literature and the poetry of it, you know, and the philosophy of it. It's in there, but you know, it's cleverly hidden in plain sight. Just like these movies, you know what I'm saying? You're so dazzled by the fighting that you don't recognize the political message that they're trying to sneak in. They can't come directly out, because if to come out against communists, you get your head fucking chopped off. But if you put it in a fictionalized and a roundabout way, and then poetically talk bad about your rulers, well, you can get away with that. But in the movie, it talks about this is one of their tactics. There's a reason why Chinese were really against like sellouts of their own kind, who basically, you want to see how the New World Order takes over an empire, and then it's just like a parasite that gets inside of someone, and everything you eat, the parasite's eating your work. And they went in and gutted China through traders. They went and found people who would take bribes. They found people who would sell their own people out, for trinkets. And they did the same thing with the Indians too, because in every culture there are sellouts that will take the bait. And in the movie, one of the things they were saying is they were calling that Chinese people, they were calling them the sick man of Asia. And I mean, and it's the same thing they said about the Indians. They were like the savages, that, like, these guys are savage. Like, look, like they're zombies that just want to eat your brains. When it's not even like that. It's like these people are fighting for everything: their land, their life, their family, for their way of life. So and the enemy's fucking savage. So you fight them back, savage. You know what I'm saying? So, but then they say, "Oh, look, you're a savage because you're fighting us by the same means that we're fighting you." You know what I'm saying? Same thing with this whole sick man of Asia tactic. It's the same thing as calling someone a terrorist. That's the new sick man of Asia. That's the new savage. Is anyone who is against the political structure, which is now intertwined with the religious structure, which Bill Cooper was saying you do not want a theocracy. The last thing that we really want is a theocracy, which is the religious movements control the political things. And that's what this is what the New World Order is. Lucifer is the king. It's not a political thing. It's not atheistic. It's an opposite. It's a dark, occultic, religious, political theocracy. And this undertone is in all these kung fu movies, and I didn't realize how political. I mean, it was hidden in plain sight even from me. How political these things are, dude. And there's all these political undertones. And when they do the dubbing over, it's when you watch them in subtitles, you see a lot more political things. But when it's dubbed over, they snip that out. You know what I'm saying? So you don't recognize how, you might watch this movie and you'd be like, wait a second. That's going on here in my life. Our political system's just like this. You know what I'm saying? There's always some kind of moral code too, where it shows kind of like people who become obsessed with the sword a lot of times die by the sword because they become murderous and bloodthirsty, and they're just quick to slay, and they use force as a way to solve problems. And here's another thing where it goes back to the Bible, where Jesus was like, look, don't live by the sword. You live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. But yet he advocated us carrying weaponry. So like when Jesus says sell your garments and buy a sword, he's not talking about buy a Bible. He's talking about a sword. But he didn't say anyone who does not agree, cut their head off. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's a balance there that obviously if you're already studying this, you should have a balance there that where you're not going to live by force. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you're not just gonna put up with force. You're gonna speak out diplomatically against it. You appeal to people's moral uh part of their mind and hearts. You know what I'm saying? And then that's the prize deadly fury. It's talking about the mind and the heart. You know what I'm saying? Which how you fight determines on what's in your heart. Why you're fighting. You know why? And it comes out through your heart. You know what I'm saying? The heart controls the fist, it pushes the fist, or it holds the fist back. So, you know, same thing. The Indians had this understanding as well, man. It's just that it's like the same thing with terrorists. See, they when anytime they say anti-Semitic, they're depending on you being ignorant that anyone who lives in the Levant is a Semite, whether they're Arab, whether they're Ishmael, whether they're Jacob. You know what I'm saying? When the people who say they're Jacob, are they even Jacob anyway? Well, their actions and their heart says they're not. They're something else. They're Talmudic. And just like those sellouts in the Chinese movies who help the globalists overthrow their own society for reward. That's called serving mammon. That's called Baal. Baal. B-A-A-A or B-A-A-L. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Or Baalim, which means it's like Baalim means reward for air. It's like the way of Baal, Mammon, the Lord of merchandise, the god of this world, gold, oil, and drugs. And that's exactly how they took over China too, was through drugs. That's where they implemented the first drug war, was in China. You know, and it was brought there and fostered by the Indian Trading Company, which was like a corporation, a law of the sea corporation, secret society of pirates and Templars that came out of England and Spain and all that. It's multinational. You know what I'm saying? So China was well aware of what. That's why they were so suspicious of outsiders. And Japan was even more suspicious of outsiders because their spies were. All the people from China a lot of people from China went and hid out in Japan while they were under occupation by foreign powers. You know what I'm saying? Just like some of the Indians, they had to flee somewhere, or either that, side with the beast, and they did that. But you can't say just because one guy from one tribe sold out that all Indians were sellout. No, there's sellouts in every culture, in every society. There's evil, immorality worldwide. It's in the hearts of men and in our minds. You know what I'm saying? That makes us do these dastardly deeds. Or it also makes us repent of our dastardly deeds and try to do something good for your people, for all people. Because when you do good for your people, you're really doing good for all people. You're setting an example, positive example. And when you call people the sick man of Asia, that's a bad example. When you say the savage man, red man of North America, it's a bad example. You know what I'm saying? Because the people, look, Indians, it's because of the Indians also that the Pilgrims survived. Come on, why do people always seem to forget that? You know what I'm saying? And the extermination policy, after they learned through, overthrowing China, they came and brought these same tactics over here to America and even perfected them. And then Hitler totally perfected them. And then they funded Hitler to do these things, took all the documented research, and then basically hung the whole thing. Hitler's a bad guy, hung it around his neck. You know what I'm saying? Disappeared him or sent him down to Boys of Brazil. You know what I'm saying? Or who knows? Or he went into the Hollow Earth. I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? But these things were all related subjects because the Nazis was a political, religious movement. So I'm just telling you, it's like, see, when religions turn political, they're not religions no more. And, it's just people always want to blame the world's ills on these theocracies. You know what I'm saying? These multinational Talmudic theocracies that they come under many names, many creeds, many colors, many different masks, but it's the same spirit behind it. And, like I said, now that I watch that's the reason I love these, the Chinese movies, the revenge flicks, where one guy is standing up against the tide of destruction, basically. You know what I'm saying? Even though it is fantasy, most of the time these guys die. You know what I'm saying? Like Martin Luther King, Kennedy, Jesus. I mean, it's a little different with Jesus, but I'm just saying these political movements, you get martyrs.